Good morning, movers and shakers.
Good morning, Brian Wade.
Thank you, and good morning to you, Scott. So, in the year 1906, an Italian economist named Vilfredo Pareto discovered that 80% of the land in Italy was owned by 20% of the population of Italy. And this intrigued him, so he took a look at other countries, and he found that a similar distribution applied, that roughly 80% of the land was owned by 20% of the people. And another way of saying that is that 80% of the wealth was owned by 20% of the population. And this is where the 80-20 rule originates from, which states that roughly 80% of the effects originate from 20% of the causes. Because after he discovered this 80-20 distribution was found again and again and again in so many places. You know, you look at a business and oftentimes 80% of the revenue can come from the top 20% of the clients. If you Google this on Wikipedia, it actually says that in a pea plant, 80% of the peas originate from 20% of the pods. And so there are people who would say, well, yeah, Brian, 80% of the land was owned by 20% of the people. Well, that's because, people are being held back and it's unfair and there's injustices. And, there is a certain element of truth to that. There are certainly injustices in the world that hold people back. But let's think about the business that I'm in, and I see people's finances all day long. And I see that they do earn money, but they make irresponsible choices with it. And so 80% of the time, it's not that they didn't earn the money, but they don't have wealth. They either put themselves in the 20% or in the 80% based on their actions and their habits. Let's look at health. 80% of the population is not exercising every day. And if you look at people over the age of 65, I think 75% of them are taking some sort of medication. It's about actions and habits. And you could even give people money. You could say, well, let's give it to them. Let's fix it. Let's make everything equal. And you give people $1 million, give people $5 million. There are statistics surrounding sudden wealth. And they show time after time after time. You could even take the NBA and the NFL players. They make tons of money. 80% of the time, when a person receives sudden wealth, they spend through it and they're broke within 5 years. So I bring this up because I want you to consider where you are in the different areas of your life. With regard to your health, are you choosing to be in the 20%? Or are you choosing to put yourself in the 80%? With your finances, are you in the 20% or the 80%? My grandparents, they were not in the 20% in terms of the income they earned, but they put themselves in the 20% because of the habits they had. So with, again, your health, your finances, your relationships, your business, and how about in this group? Are you in the 80% or the 20%? Because guess what, folks? We still have that going on even in this room. I mean, you would think that having the weekly commitment in the early morning, it's going to weed people out. You would think that we only have the top 20% of the population represented in this room. But I'm here to tell you, after years of watching people come in and out, we still have the 80-20 rule going on in this room. So, are you going to make it happen in this group and get the results out of this group because you're putting the input into this group? Givers gain, and you got to put in effort to get out. We had a sheet in front of us last week. The traffic lights report. So it shows if we're in the green, the yellow, the red, or the gray with our activity. What percentage of the room was in the green?
20%.
Less than that. Less than that.
There's 4 people out of
10% in the green, maybe more than that in the yellow. But the vast majority of us are hanging out in the red and the gray, and all we have to do to step it up is 2 1-to-1s a week, 2 CEUs a week. And guess what, folks? It's like, if this isn't punishment, if you do this, you're going to get more results out of it, It's like I tell you, hey, if you go to the gym every day, you'll be in shape. Well, but I don't want to do that. Okay, They make pills. You can take them when you're over the age of 65. If you do 2 one-to-ones a week, if you do 2 CEUs a week, if you be here, yeah, exactly. I mean, how hard is that, Ralph?
Not hard at all.
You know, not for you. You're in the 20%. You know, you're in the green, right?
Yep.
You're in the top 10%. Like, dude, have a one-to-one with this guy, you know? So I don't want to continue on too long because I'm out of time, but think about that. This has been your educational moment. Brian Wade, Tampa Financial Group.